What's up, agents? Jetforth here, and here is the full tip of the spear build that I have put together. This is a hybrid AR DPS monster skill build. It is a 10-3-9 build. With some of the talents and the weapons, even them being lower on the damage side, we are still able to output well over 100,000 damage using Perfect Spotter for our own selfish selves, as opposed to helping everybody else out. And that's with high RPM assault rifles. You can get more damage off of the lower RPMs, but this is just the way I was having a lot of fun with it, so that's the way I made it. Overall, with tip of the spear, when you're pulsing enemies, all the agents on your team are getting plus 20% damage to pulse enemies. That is overall damage. That means their seekers, their hives, anything they are using is getting an extra 20% damage. Then with the specialization, you're also giving them another 10% with that. So everything about this build is mostly for playing in a group. If you are a solo player, this is still a very powerful build, and some of the things in my brain that I want to say is that, like, if you do take this into a heroic with randoms, if you generally do like to play with your if you like to play with yourself, oh my god, if you do play by yourself most of the time but you want to get through heroic missions, I would definitely try this, because you are going to be helping everybody out in the heroic missions. And all the gameplay footage that I got that I couldn't post and that I did post was all with randoms, even though I ran into a bunch of you guys when I was recording, made friends and whatever. Now we're friends. Let's go do karate in the garage. So other than all that babble, I did post a full gameplay video yesterday, which I do want to talk about at the end of the video, because that was a huge dumpster fire, honestly, of what happened with that video. Partially, yes, it was my fault, but hopefully you guys will stick around to the end and maybe we can figure out a better way for me to do things or whatever. I'm all about trying to appease you guys, the audience, and, you know, I make video, whatever. I'm shutting up. Let's just get into the build. Let's please just stick around to the end and maybe you can help me out and we can figure out something better for this channel. Alrighty, for our specialization, we will be using the survivalist, because, well, we have to, because tip of the spear, which comes with the incendiary grenade, which is perfect because we want to throw down as much status effect for us and our group members as we can. This also comes with 15% protection from elites, which is great because we're running kind of low armor on this. I am not using the disturbed repair talent. Any armor kits now repair over 5 seconds instead of instantaneously, group members 10 meters, whatever, because when matchmaking with randoms, everyone kind of does whatever they want, and they are not going to be within 10 meters of you, and whatever, this is our own selfish need to repair our armor fully when we are repairing our armor. We're already doing enough for them, okay? I'm doing enough for you. Then we have a survivalist tactical link. Group members gain 10% bonus damage to targets with status effect. So incendiary grenade, giving them 10% damage and giving ourselves a whole lot of damage with the weapons that we're using. Spoiler alert ignited. And then also the wonderfulness of a crunch time. While in cover, gain 20% skill haste, which I am running 11.3 cooldown on my pulse. So obviously that will vary for you depending on your mods, if you're able to get 3000 skill power like I have, and all this and that. But that is overall really wonderful. On to weapons. For my primary, I am using the Pyromaniac. That should not be a surprise at all to you guys. The damage I have for mine is 19.7 with all my weapon modifiers and whatnot. If you do not have this, my best suggestion is to run any mission or anywhere the targeted loot is assault rifles. Sometimes the world doesn't burn fast enough. Talents. Perfectly ignited. Deal plus 40% damage to burning enemies. After 2 kills, applies burning to the next enemy you hit. Extra. Plus 20% magazine capacity, and then rooted. While equipped and in cover, all skill damage and healing is increased by plus 25% for 10 seconds. Buff is lost when exiting cover, can occur once per 60 seconds. Which this is super great for our Hive when it happens. For my secondary weapon, I am using a FAMAS 2010, which has 17.8k damage. I honestly don't know what the damage range is. on this, or what it can roll with. So let me know in the comments, because I kind of strayed away from that meta. Talents: Sadist, deal plus 30% weapon damage to bleeding enemies. After 3 kills, applies bleed to the next enemy you hit. Then Extra, plus 20% magazine capacity, and then Recharged. While equipped, skills deployed at full armor have plus 25% duration, charges, and ammo, which this is adding 2 charges to the Hive. So not that great, but not the worst. I will take it. And for our trusty sidearm, I'm using the one that I always use on my skill builds, which is my D50, which has Sadist, don't need to read that again, I'm sure, stable, plus 15% stability, and then in rhythm. While equipped, enemy kills have a 5% chance to refresh active skill cooldowns, can occur once every 60 seconds, which this is great for when our Hive gets destroyed, or just getting an extra pulse in the middle of all the insane amount of pulsing that we're doing during this build. Alrighty, on to armor. For our mask, we will be using the Helagard named Night Watcher's mask. Through the glass and steel, looking at you, a view so cruel. Ooh, that hurts a little bit. For the plus 5% total armor, which is wonderful, we need that. For the attributes, I have a plus 7.5% health, plus 48% damage to elites, and for the talent, Perfect Spotter, plus 20% weapon damage to pulsed enemies. If you do not have this mask, the best way I found to get it is to farm anywhere that the targeted loot is Helagard. Like I said in the previous video, I tried doing targeted loot masks and had 0 luck. As soon as I started doing the targeted loot Hela, I got a bunch of them. I mean, not like immediately. It took like a day or 2 of farming to get a bunch of them, but I did get, I'm done. Now, hopefully you can see what I'm doing here with all the damage stacking. So with throwing incendiary grenades and getting the 40% extra damage to burning enemies, then you put Perfect Spotter on top of it, and now we are getting plus 60% extra damage to enemies. And then with Sadist, we're giving ourselves an extra 50% when using the Hive and throwing down bleed damage. So along with giving everybody else 30% damage to everything, we are giving ourselves a buttload of weapon damage. So we can do stuff too. And as for all the mods that are on the build, I'm just stacking a lot of utility to push myself up to that 3000 skill power, and then all the offensive mods are just stacking assault rifle damage, so probably ignore those to speed up the build video. Next up, we have the chest piece, which I am using a Fenris Group AB for the plus 10% assault rifle damage, attributes, plus 20,246 armor, which is plus 1019 skill power, which, yes, again, I do realize is high. I generally try not to put god rolls on my build, but for the people who asked, I got this a while back from the clan vendor when he was selling these, and I just bought a ton of them. Plus 26,320 health, which is also pretty meh, but we're mainly using this for the talent Mad Bomber. Grenade radius is increased by plus 50%. Grenades that kill an enemy are refunded. That plus 50% on an incendiary grenade literally fills up like the entire map, and it makes it near impossible for NPCs to roll out of it. That is the main reason why I'm using this talent. The grenades being refunded is also very nice, but generally we're going to be killing everything with our weapons and everybody else's too. So, but seriously, you can put anything else here you want, but I would highly recommend trying Mad Bomber. It is very, very fun. And then Hardened, plus 15% armor, and the mods for this are offensive, and again, I am just stacking assault rifle damage and overall weapon damage. I do want to talk a little bit about the 3000 skill power cap, because I am finding some strangeness in there, and we may not even actually really necessarily need to hit 3000. I'll talk more about it when we get to the skills, so don't be overly too concerned, I suppose, at this point for the 3000 skill power cap on this specific build. And now on to the other most important part of the build, which would be the tip of the spear gear set. Which part of the tip? Just the tip. I'm sorry, I had to put that in there somewhere. 2 pieces give you plus 20% protection from elites, which is great. 3 pieces gives you electromagnetic trigger. Crossbow bolts are equipped with proximity detonators. On impact, bolts trigger a 9-meter pulse. Now, I really wished the proximity worked while the arrow was flying through the air, and I also kind of wish that the detonator detonates a lot faster than it does when it does hit the ground. As for the pulse part of it, also, there is a huge delay from the time the arrow hits to the time the pulse actually happens. 9 times out of 10, you are going to kill that enemy you hit with it, or everything's going to be dead by the time that actually triggers. Seriously, Massive, you need to take that delay out because it is just absolutely stupid and almost makes this part of it pointless in all seriousness. However, you can have some fun with the proximity detonators. You can put up doorway traps for when NPCs are running out of the doors, and you pretty much anticipate being able to set them on fire and explode them up and all that other fun shenanigans. Now, the 4-piece aggressive recon, when killing an enemy, triggers a small pulse from their location. Party/raid members deal 20% extra damage to pulsed targets, which the only thing that I was worried about in building this is that our regular pulse would not affect that, but it absolutely does. So that's why this turned into a super magical pulse build, so everything is pulsed all the time. Now, the same thing with when killing an enemy triggers a small pulse from their location. There is a ridiculous amount of delay on that too. We're talking like 6-7 seconds, somewhere in there. It feels like an eternity. And 9 times out of 10, everything's going to be dead by the time that stupid pulse goes off. So seriously, if anybody at Massive ever watches this video, take that stupid delay away. It should be the second they die. Snap of the finger, crossbow bolt hits, pulse goes out, kill an enemy, pulse goes out. That really irked me when making this, that it almost renders it useless. It does render it useless, really. I mean, seriously, I just, that's how I feel about that. Speed it up. Speed it up, please. As for the attributes on my piece, it is plus 4% critical hit damage. And if you need to make up some skill power, you can get rid of that because 4% is nothing and roll some extra skill power on there. And then plus 44% skill haste. Next up, we have the backpack. No need to read this all out again, I am sure. For my attributes, I have plus 4.5% critical hit damage, which is bleh, plus 610 skill power, and then 3% critical hit chance, which is also pretty bleh. For my talents, I do have a talent backpack for this because I did complete the raid and I am able to roll them, so I threw on plus 25% damage to elites. Now, I am not sure if you can get the talent rolled backpacks or chest pieces in the baby raid, so honestly, let me know and let other people know. And also from time to time, the vendors do sell these backpacks, but I am also not sure if you didn't complete the raid if these pieces show up for you in there. So also let me know and let people know down in the comment section down below if you do know. However, if you do have higher armor rolls than me, if you want to make up for the 25% damage to elites and you can't get this, put this on the chest piece. Or I'm sure you can get a lot better attribute rolls than I do. Get some weapon damage on there, some headshot damage, or something along that lines. Again, all the mods, just stacking skill power and assault rifle damage. Next up are the gloves. For the attributes, I have plus 13% assault rifle damage and plus 272 skill power. Now, I and all of us were completely right about how to get the motherly gloves. You have to have all 8 ivory keys and the chest in the White House unlocked for that to unlock in the vendor. But it is also bugged. So some people do have all that done and can't get them. Some people who don't have that done can't get them. Massive put out a forum post and explained all of it. And yeah, we're totally right about how to get them. Offensive mod, assault rifle damage. That's it for the gloves. And finally, the knee pads. Attributes, 397 skill power, offensive mod, assault rifle damage, utility mod, just a bunch of skill power. And now finally, we have the skills and my skill mods. I am obviously using the pulse. Now, what I was saying before about the skills and the skill power, there is definitely a soft cap somewhere in there. I don't know exactly where it is, but it's to the point when you could see here, I have 197.8% skill haste and 183.2% skill haste. Now, once you start hitting that cap like that, 10%, 20% extra skill haste is literally only giving you like 0.1 or 0.2 extra cooldown. So I think I might not start being overly concerned with hitting 3,000 skill power on some of my builds. So maybe I won't even need to start throwing in that silly 1,000 skill powered chest piece roll that I have on a bunch of stuff. Maybe I'll have to do a little skill building 101 class again and see if I can actually figure out what that little soft cap is, because, you know, putting God rolled mods on stuff should do something, not, you know, just give you teeny tiny little increases to split seconds on the build. Now on the Hive, I have a 99.1% damage increase on there. That is working. However, I have 2 charges mods on here as well. One's 99.8 and the other one is plus 80.7 charges. Now also with this, you can see me switching back and forth between a 90% and a 98%, and I'm not gaining or losing charges with it. So apparently the cap on the Hive is 22 charges. So even with using recharged, I am only getting plus 2 from that. So a max cap of 24 charges. So again, you really don't need to have God rolled mods on here. You can get with like, you could probably get away with like a 2 plus 80% or a 90 and a 60, or, you know, like I said, though, I got to figure out the overall extra math with it. But like I said, with the Hive, I would definitely sacrifice some of that damage or maybe even some of the charges to have a gigantic radius on this thing. So we can get more damage from Sadist and affect more enemies for our group members that we're playing with. And yeah, that is pretty much it for the build, yeah, guys and goyles. So definitely overall, I do really like this build. I did really enjoy it. I may actually just use this when I'm randomly joining randoms to do heroic missions and farm out gear and stuff like that, because named gear definitely does drop a lot more in heroic missions than the other missions. I am thinking after all of this that I may actually just put together a pulse build that is like this without using the tip of the spear, because it's pretty crazy using ignited and sadist and throwing down all the bleed and fire damage and stuff like that. It's overall a pretty insane build, I personally think. So maybe I'll do it tomorrow and try and beat out anybody else who tries to put out something like this, if ya know what I mean. So as for the beginning of the video where I said let's talk about, you know, the overall dumpster fire that I created for myself, I just completely want to apologize to everybody if I clickbaited you on the gameplay video that I released the day before yesterday. Actually, technically it was yesterday because I put it out at midnight. That was not my intention at all to do it. I definitely should have made that thumbnail better. I should have made my title better. I do not clickbait on this channel. I did way back in the beginning of the Division 2 when I started posting videos, and I was just like, dude, I do not want to be that guy who does that. I also don't want to be the guy that puts up the 580,000 damaged armor, 5 million health clickbaity titles like that. Hopefully you guys know that. It definitely 100% was not my intention to do that. It's just, I posted the video at midnight. I was just trying to whip through it, trying to make the thumbnail good, many different excuses. That is never my intention, to make people think that I was posting a build video. Instead, I was just posting the gameplay for the build. And the reason why I do it like that is because originally when I started posting build videos, everybody always wanted extended gameplay and stuff like that. So I figured I would just start doing that way. And then generally all the complaints and stuff from people saying they wanted extended gameplay, or I was putting too much gameplay in videos and the videos were taking too long, even though this one is now taking forever. I figured it made everybody happy that way, including me, because that way I can put up the gameplay. Everybody who wants gameplay of the builds gets the gameplay, and then that takes some of the pressure off of me, so I can spend more time on my build videos and explaining the gear and other stuff, so I don't feel like I'm trying to rush through it to keep the build videos under 20 minutes and stuff. So that's just my thinking on it. If you guys don't like me doing that way, I will figure out something else. I'm always down for like positive criticism or things that you think I should change and other stuff, you know. I definitely have an open ear on it. Most of the stuff that I do on this channel is from suggestions from you guys and stuff like that. So I try to form and mold to what you guys want out of this, other than me just being an idiot and saying stupid jokes and stuff like that during videos and making boring build videos a little bit more fun than, you know, they normally are. But seriously, guys, I totally and 100% take fault for that. I just, you know, I got really triggered when I woke up and I opened the video and there was like, you're clickbait, clickbait, and other stuff. And there was comments in my no folder where, you know, overly swearing and ridiculous comments go. People just getting overly angry and stuff. So I do take full blame for that. I'm sorry for flipping out in the community section and stuff like that. It just, most everything that happens on YouTube and stupid, idiotic butthole comments and stuff, I generally just brush them off. But if you ever want to get under my skin, call me clickbait, because I don't do that. Even though the name of the game of YouTube is clickbait, I do not do that. Even though my channel views can suffer because of that, I would rather give out true and quality content to you guys. You know, if I put a 3 million damage cluster mine hit, you better believe that I am going to show a 3 million cluster hit in my video. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got to say about that, and not trying to make this video 20 minutes. So thank you for sticking around. Let me know. Again, I'm sorry. It was never my intention to make that video, to make that thumbnail look like that, or put the gameplay really small on it. It just was late. I was trying to get the video out and stuff. So serious, I am sorry. But if you could hit the old like button for me, that's always super important and super awesome for the health of the growth and growth of the channel. Subscribe and all that other junk, and I will catch you all on the flip side. Peace.